drinking from the devil's cup. Take that pill, drink it down. Flashing lights all around. High as hell, drunk like I finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom. Waking up, I'm a mess, sleeping on the bathroom floor. Last night's a blur, don't know for sure, but I'm ready for another round. You're talking shit, don't hear a sound. Take a hit and pass around. High as hell, drunk like I finally don't give a fuck. 'Cause I'm breaking all the rules tonight. Not going down without a fight. As long as I'm still breathing, doesn't matter how hard you might try. We can take this freedom.
All right, hey everybody, this is the Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. Sorry I'm a bit late today. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me just make sure audio levels. I'm trying to get everything back up and running and I'm not really sure what's, so I moved a bunch of files on my computer and then I lost the intro and everything. So hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Let me know if you could, push out the link to the Messenger bot. All right, how do I do that? Let's see. Yeah, the Messenger bot. I'm going to fix the Messenger bot, everybody, because we were using something called ManyChat, and it keeps pushing out the daily videos to it, and people are starting to complain. And that was one of the things on my to-do list was to do that. So let me think, how do I do that? Let's see. Go to ManyChat. So we're using it. So if for those of you guys who want to do any kind of bots and stuff, ManyChat's a very good one. But since we're all developers, we should be using Dialogflow and building our own. Because it's actually getting easier and easier to do. Let's see if I can get in here. Sign in with Facebook. Good plan. So anyway, hey everybody, how's it going? Perfect audio, cool. Billy, you're the first one here. Hey, how's it going? Mr. Nettune. Don't say that about Billy. Come on, Chord Funk. Hello, Yuba. Hey. Yeah, I know. At least, yes, Billy. At least you got one. At least you're man enough to put your picture on there. So, Mr. Nettune, come on, man. Let's see. Yeah, push it out. Shivam Pandy, how's it going? Billy, hey, how's it going? Fizz 007, cool. I'm glad you guys made it. Oh, Happy New Year. Lysira 187, Happy New Year. That's right. Happy New Year, everybody. It seems like it's been ages since I talked to you. Even though I started doing the daily videos again a couple of days ago, and it was actually kind of hard to get started again. It feels like it was just such a short break, but I think it had been so long since I've really taken time off that it felt like I was just getting just lazy. Like it just, I always think New Year's is just perfectly timed for New Year's resolutions because you just go through all the excess of December and everything. So Minhaj Ali Khan says, did you earn something from Facebook Instant Games? Actually, I've never done anything with Facebook Instant Games, but I've played around with it a little bit. It's one of these things where you start doing it and it's always like, should you tell people you're doing it because they will motivate you a little bit further. And I think I was using Phaser.io because Facebook Games needs to use it needs to use an HTML format. So I was looking at using that, but I didn't really see a way to monetize. And I know that I think Messenger has advertisements and everything, but I don't know if you actually make anything through that. So no, I haven't, to be honest with you. Hello from Algeria. Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Thanks, Fizz 007. Gamers Union, how's it going? Let's see. El Cyro says, have you been working more on Flutter, or are you still working in Corona? So we have like a so Corona is still something that I want to use for gaming. So we have an app that we have a bunch of games in Corona, like just simple language learning games. And we had a client come to us with a language game to do, and we thought, well, we'll just use some of our existing code. However, I didn't have time to do it, and didn't have time to get it. And a Corona developer was just, I don't know any really good ones. So we had somebody with Ionic, so I thought we'll just redo it again in Ionic, and we're just having trouble with that. We should have done it in Corona to begin with. In terms of Flutter, I haven't really tried Flutter as a game framework yet, because one of the nice things about game frameworks is that they're geared towards games, and everything I've seen in Flutter has been form-based. But because it has a high frame rate, all you have to do is write your own game loop, and you could probably figure it out. There's a lot of really good JavaScript game frameworks out there, and if you look at them, you can see how they work. So just have the game loop, and it calls all the objects on each loop, and have them move in the different locations, everything like that. So it wouldn't be hard to do in Flutter. It's just something I haven't really thought about doing. What I have been, so my project over, it wasn't really my project. It wasn't what I set out to do over Christmas break. What I set out to do over Christmas break, or my plan was, I was going to work on the ASO course that I said we would do. And then I thought, I didn't do any of that. I did nothing. What I ended up doing was working with Dialogflow and doing some of that stuff. So I actually created a chat bot, or a Google Assistant bot in Dialogflow, and did all the Node.js hooks and everything, and I released it to Google, and it failed. It failed the first time through because I'm leaving the microphone open. So it's something that I just got the rejection a couple days ago, and I just haven't fixed it yet. It's a simple thing to fix, but it's just kind of like so it asks you a question, and then when you answer the question, it leaves the microphone open because it expects you to do something else, and it doesn't. So just something for me to do. But yeah, Flutter is definitely that's definitely the way to go in the future. I've heard everybody is just really impressed with it, and I feel like I'm a bit behind the curve. Doing the stuff with Dialogflow and the chat and the speaker stuff is really cool, but when it comes to actually doing app development, I think Flutter's the way of the future. But it's so hard to find a good Flutter developer, or find good Flutter developers. And it's like, the hard bit about learning something new is that I could get really in, and I've done this before. I've done this so many times before, where I get totally into it and I learn everything about it, and then I'm the one stuck doing every single. Or then we'll do like one client project, and maybe a couple client projects, or do a project for ourselves, and then all the maintenance goes back to me because nobody else knows how to do it. Or they might know how to do it, but they're not the right people. Like they're just like, oh, I'll learn it because I can make some money learning it, and they just do the bare minimum. And it's, you could tell people who really get into it and learn how all the coding structures and everything like that works. So but it will. Fizz says your Pomodoro clock is off. How long have you been working? Have you been working over 25 minutes? Rick Calvert, my New Year's resolution is to watch Overpass live stream every week. My resolution is to actually do one every week, Rick. Like, we missed the last couple of weeks, and to be honest with you, I think towards the end of the year, I think I missed the last day, and then I missed a couple others because people keep scheduling things for Friday afternoons. So I think that the week before, or a couple weeks before that, I'm in this mentor, business coach thing, and I had to go to this event, and it was just difficult. I couldn't make it home. Every time I say I need to leave at around 4 o'clock so I can make it home for this live stream, this is a really important event and everything, and then when I stay for it, it's not really. I could have made it. So unless we change the times around, maybe I change the time around. Maybe that would be easier, but. This is just like a nice end to the week. Nobody ever phones, like, I'm in the office by myself. Nobody ever phones at 5 o'clock on a Friday. All the clients have gone home. Everybody's gone home. The building clears out. When I finish a live stream and I go down to the car, it's just dark. There's nobody around, and it's just like this perfect time. And then it's usually followed by pizza at home. So that's why I like doing it at this time. Let's see. Minhaj says. They're providing monetization with Facebook Audience Network. I haven't really used it. And Mr. Nettune, have you used Unity? I was going to talk about this in a video. I have not used Unity, but I keep I keep starting tutorials on it. Unity, I think, would work really well for me because of my C# background, although it's been a while. But C#, sorry, I'm going to grab my tea over here. My C# background and my and JavaScript, so it's like the ideal languages. However, I don't like the GUI. I don't like that. I don't like where all the code is. Like in the old days, I remember working with when I first started working in Access and in Visual Basic. And Visual Basic was, I really loved working in Visual Basic, but you had like you had an IDE that was, it was like you didn't know what to do outside the IDE. So everything, you would have, things would go in a certain place and you learn your way around and everything like that. But the code sits somewhere. Some configuration sits somewhere. And when .NET came out, they made that stuff more available to you, so you can see the config files. Although they're like XML, you shouldn't really go through and edit them, but you can see what it is and see what it's doing. A lot of the languages I really like working with, like Node, or like Node.js is JavaScript, and it has a lot of libraries which are in the Node modules folder, but it's still, you could go in there and look at it if you needed to. And I think the thing about Unity, and this could just be my naivete starting forward, because when I started using it, the first thing I wanted to know was, where does the code go? How, if I check this into Git, where does it go? And how do I do that? And a lot of it seems to be, oh, how do I move this from this side of the screen to the other? And it's not some code. It's like, oh, all you have to do is go into this window over here and go into this and expand this, click on that and do that, which is probably something I just haven't really got into. So but people have done great things on Unity, and it's flexible and it's cross-platform, and unlike Corona, it doesn't seem like it's going to die in the next week or so. I mean, the Corona community, I know there's still a community out there, and it's still keeping going, but I haven't really been paying attention to them, except for when I need to release something new or do an update, then I look to see, I hope they're still around. So I haven't really, Mr. Nettune. But you know, if I was going to give somebody advice to say they wanted to get into a game framework, I would say Unity, just because it's the biggest one with the biggest community. I know there's other ones like what's the other one? What's the Objective-C one? It's X something. God, I'm having a brain fart. I can't remember. But it was like the one that's done in Objective-C, and it always seemed like that was making it harder to learn to go into Objective-C unless that's what you actually do. Hey, Carol VDW, how's it going? Fizz007, Fizz, is it Fizz007 or is that Fizz007 says, do you still use Balsamiq or did you shift to Adobe XD? I still use Balsamiq. My designer uses XD. I've tried to use XD, and again, it's one of these things where, you know, maybe I'm just, it's that initial learning curve that you get to. I mean, I have XD, I have the license, I have the full Creative Suite. I played around with it a little bit. If my designer sends me something, I could open it and tweak it a little bit. But when it comes to starting something from scratch, not so much. But Balsamiq is the one where I could just do it. I mean, I use Balsamiq all the time for every client quote. I know I did a video about Balsamiq a few years ago, and I still do the same thing. And it is an old piece of software. I paid I think I paid 80 pounds for it. Like, it may have, God, you know, it may have been, well, 7 or 8 years ago that I bought it, and I still use it all the time. And I try to get, and I do a lot of the quoting myself, so I still do that part myself. However, it's yeah, I want to get the other people in the team to do it, but then I don't want to pay for Balsamiq for them to. And Balsamiq's like a lot of other tools. They're trying to move from their desktop thing to an online subscription model, which is, I suppose, good for them. But I'm like, I don't really want to. I just want the tool. It works so well as a desktop module. I mean, I can show you guys how I use Balsamiq if you want, but I've done a video on that in the past. But I still use it. I still use it all the time, and sometimes I'll use it just for the quotes, and I'll put in the quotes, or even just sitting with a client because I know what all the shortcuts are. I can just quickly just go, all right, so we have this screen here, you know, drag in the text box, drag this, and we just sort of walk through how the application will work. And then sometimes I'll take most of the time I'll take the Balsamiq, send it to the designer, and then our designer Marvin will take it and do some like really good screen renderings for the money shot, the one at the end of the quote that they can see what it is. But now I even when I'm just on my own, or with another client, or if it's just on my own, I sketch things out on a piece of paper. Sometimes I'm the only one who can read it because my handwriting is so bad, but I still sketch things out. This will go here, that will go there, so I can see it in my head how it will work and everything. So let's see. El Ciro 187, do you know some good courses or books to get started in Corona? You know what? Right now, Pact Publishing, or God, maybe it ended at the end of the year, but it was like every book and every course was $5. And so first thing I did was look for a book on Flutter, and they have like 3 different courses, like video courses on Flutter, and there's a bunch on Udemy, but I haven't found a single book on it, not a single one. And you know, I'm wondering why that is. Is it so new, or is it people just aren't bothering with it? So you know, you can find tons on PHP or Android development or whatever, but you just can't find any. I don't know if there are any books published yet on Flutter, but it was like 2 weeks ago it was literally 2 weeks ago that I looked. So no, I don't. And Fist007 says Xamarin is the way of the future. Really? Do you think Xamarin is the way of the future? My one big problem with Xamarin, sorry, I know I'm just rambling on about stuff, but my one big, so I used Xamarin, when I say I used it, I played with it. I didn't release anything. I went in, I thought, can I use Xamarin instead of trying to learn Objective-C, instead of trying to learn Java? And so I was looking through it, and I was reading all the books, and it seemed like it really keeps up with the framework. When I would look into stuff like, you know, if you include the Xamarin or the mono runtimes in your application, how much space does that take? And a lot of things were not really explained very well. Like, I couldn't find really good examples of it. And even when you design the GUI, you still have to go into the nib, the nib in Xcode, and then drag and drop your interface, which doesn't even make sense to me in Xcode now. That you have this thing where you come out of the code and you do this drag and drop thing, or you have to go into do the XML editor for Android, and it just seemed like it was kind of this half and half thing. However, it does look a lot more like a native Android app, and it probably, like I said, it's at least 3 years since I've looked at it, maybe 4 years. So maybe it is the future, but it's also the past. So at least for me. So and Flutter, and the nice thing about, so from Flutter, all the tutorials that I've done, and every time I get to a certain point where I think, okay, I should just, you know, the thing is, I can't just ignore all the current clients and all the work that we have at the moment just so I can focus on it, which I really, you know, it would be really cool, right? I like the fact that it's all code. There's no, okay, you do everything in code and then you go over here and do this other thing, right? It used to bother me about ASP.NET, the ASP.NET web forms, where you have the code behind and you would have the XML. The same thing with Silverlight and WPF. You would have this part was in XAML, the markup was in XAML, and this part is in code. This, you know, but I suppose it's the same as HTML and JavaScript. You have 2 different ways of doing things, but I like the idea that Flutter, you're using one language and you're doing both the GUI, or you're doing both the graphical stuff and doing the code at the same time. And I like that with Corona too. Corona didn't have this WYSIWYG editor, although they did come out with one thinking, by popular demand, here's your editor, so you just drag and drop stuff. And I just wasn't really into that kind of stuff. I mean, I like the idea that if actually that's not true. When you have to compile and you have to wait like 30 seconds or a minute for it to show up on your device or in your emulator, that is too slow, and you're like, whatever I have to do, I don't want to move something 2 pixels to the left. I don't want to have to go through that whole process. But a lot of the stuff like with Ionic and with Flutter and React Native, you have that really fast reload time, especially with Flutter. So you have that hot reload type of thing where it is just sort of, you're just adjusting it as you go. You move. Actually, Ionic is not so much that. It is a little bit when the hot reload is working, but sometimes you have things that, like we have this one application which we took over from somebody, and I just can't get the hot reload working on it. They've got all these dependencies on something Cordova base, and I could either go through and change all the code to say if Cordova is not present and bypass it. But sorry, this is getting really nerdy. But I could just do all that stuff, or I could just run it each time. I just rebuild it, and it just gets really hard. I'll go through and use the developer tools in Chrome just to do those little tweaks. But then you have to remember to take those out of Chrome and put them into the actual code, and then run it again, check to make sure that works okay. When you're just doing this little bit of move this around a little bit, move that around a little bit, that kind of stuff. So, but that's just me. So, Mr. Nettune, don't be lazy. I'm lazy, man. Let's see. Chordfunk says, Flutter is easy to adopt. I think there will be a lot of Flutter developers in a couple of months. I think so too. And even though after the Flutter conference where they talked about doing it as desktop too, even so, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Node.js the last week or last couple weeks, doing some stuff with Dialogflow, doing I have this automated process with Twitter libraries, which is really fun to work on, that I did a few years ago. I was updating it in Node.js, and I really like using JavaScript, but I kept thinking, could I do this in Dart? Can I write these server processes in Dart and everything like that? And you could, I mean, I suppose if it's HTTP, because everything that communicates with the REST service, it doesn't care what it was written in. But I was kind of like thinking, should I just rewrite this? But I think it will be. I think it'll be a lot more developers, and those developers, as it starts to get more popularity, as people really need it, I think those developers are going to be highly paid initially, and then as more people flood into that market, they'll be less paid. So a lot of people are only looking, well, some developers are only looking for what will pay them the most, as they should. I mean, you should always be looking for what makes you marketable, but it's those early people who are really passionate about the language that they're going to be, and they're passionate about the language, and they start learning it even before there are any jobs available. Those are the ones that you want to hire, and then when you do need those skills, they're going to be more expensive. Carol VDW says, what tactics do you use to make Android apps responsive to different screens? I feel like there's different ways to approach this. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about the that JavaScript editor and Android Studio. You can switch it between different types of screens, and you can have the different you have the different layout sizes in the different screen sizes. So you have all those XML files and the different folders. So, but those are big jumps. So it's not so much the screen resolution. So you've got the phone size, slightly the MDPI. Is it MDPI? Yeah, MDPI, XDPI, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got the tablet sizes and stuff like that. And the thing I don't like about doing it that way is sometimes if you only have one test device, like we've done one where we've tested on a couple of, this is embarrassing, tested on a couple of devices, and everything looked fine, and we give it to the client. Of course, they test on a tablet, and everything looks completely wrong because it wasn't, and even the changes we made weren't there because we didn't even know that there was this other layout file someplace, and it's just that kind of stuff gets me. So I mean, in terms of the tactics, I use the emulators a lot, or I use the emulator a lot for Android, but not the Android ADB emulator. I still use Genymotion, which is based on Genymotion is based on VirtualBox. So it's based on VirtualBox, and it will do it works a lot better. So like EarSpy doesn't work. I can only do so much. I can't do anything with audio or anything in that editor, but I will do it with different types of stuff. So anyway, let's see. ChordFunk, Node.js server stuff plus Vue.js CMS stuff and Flutter mobile stuff equals pure awesomeness. Yeah, we got some code that's using Vue.js, and I do like it. I think Vue.js is really good. The one thing I don't like about some of these current, I mean, God, I'm just ranting about everything. I'm just getting old man Rooney's gonna rant about all these new technologies. I don't like the way that it when you recompile it keeps changing the names of the JavaScript file. So you have your source, and then you have your deliverables, and you compile it, and it will do everything for you, like shrink it, but then it gives it a different name. And I understand why they do that, so it breaks the cache. But then sometimes you just want to have like a CDN type of thing where we have one project like that. I just want to have a CDN where we put it someplace, but the developers did it in Vue.js, so we got this thing where every time we release another version, we either have to go to all the different websites that's consuming this and change the src on the link tag or on the script tag, or or we find some way to do it. Or what my plan is, and I haven't done it yet, is to just have like one static static link, which would just be a which will read those files and insert it into the header and into the body, and just create the script tags. You know, the add element, add the script tag and everything like that. And then that way I would only have to change those file names in one folder, but that's something I have to do. So Fizz 007 says, oh, hey, Jamie Gill. Hi, Miguel. How's it going? Oh, hey, how's it going? Fizz 007 says, I'm a very advanced unit of Unity if you want to hire me. I think, you know, I'm not sure. We do have a new game that we're quoting on, and our existing development partners are saying, oh yeah, we could do a game. But you know what? I've heard this before. I've heard this before from the owners of development companies. Yeah, we could do a game, but it's a completely different mindset. Like as somebody who does form-based applications and everything is request response, I click on a button, or event-based, so if something happens, I click on something, something happens, and then you have something like a game where you have the loop and things have to operate independently and things have to keep moving. It's a different mentality, and I think game developers are something else. And I've done a very little bit of game development, and sometimes people watch the channel and they think like they'll ask me things about game development. I said, well, you know, like if you looked at the games that we've done, that I've done, they're really simple, right? So it just but yeah, we do have that. So let's see. And Cordfunk says you can use VS Code with Unity. Yeah, but can you use it instead of Unity? That's my question. Can you use it? You still need the Unity IDE to do that kind of stuff, and just use libraries. Minaj Ali Khan says, do you do pre-upload preparation for the apps? Is that like I might like do screenshots and stuff like that, but not really. It depends on what you mean by that, Minaj. Unreal Engine 4, brah. I know Unreal Engine is I mean, it's amazing to see some of the things that are out there, and it's okay. So when I first started learning how games worked a couple of years ago, and like I said, it was very simple, learning how the game loops worked and everything like that. A lot of the things were science fiction to me before that. Like I was thinking, I don't know how that could work. And I remember talking with another developer once, and we were talking about, how do you think the games work? And because everything was linear, everything was object oriented, or we'd have a bunch of if statements or whatever, and yeah, but once I started reading about it, it cleared all that kind of stuff up for me, where I started thinking, okay, so the game loop, so the master game loop, and if you're using a framework like Corona, for example, you don't really think about the game loop unless you're specifically doing it. A lot of times you just say move from here to here, that kind of stuff, set a timer, move from there. But if you have like a type of thing where you have a game loop that's running through, you have all your characters are different objects, and you run through, and you have a move function on each one, and that each character will decide based on what they do, whether or not they move towards the main character, whether or not they kill the main character, whether there's a collision, how that happens. And it was like everything was just a little bit clearer to me, and I could see how it works. The same goes through voice command. So a lot of stuff we've been doing lately is with voice command. And to me, before that, when people would say, "Can you do voice command?" it seemed really, confusing to me. So let me. But actually, it's really simple when you have the tools and stuff like Dialogflow. So it's just clearing up that kind of stuff. So I gotta turn my phone off because people keep texting me stuff. See, you guys. So somebody out there. Let's see. Sprite Kit. So Sprite Kit is. Rick Calver says Sprite. What is Sprite? Sprite Kit isn't a language though, is it? No, Sprite Kit is the iOS one. Never used it. Is it? Sprite Kit is the Apple one, right? Is it cross-platform? Let's see. Sorry, I may be way behind on the questions as usual. You know, one of these days we need to get a moderator. Maybe this is one of the problems with doing it at this time of day is I don't have anybody around to moderate, but that would make it a bit easier because you guys are like, dude, man, we've already said this ages ago. Cordfunk says one of the Flutter people actually compared Flutter with Unity because Flutter, like Unity, is very efficient when drawing the UI, and it controls every pixel. I have read that, Flutter has like a 60 frames per second flow, which is much better than you get with like Cordova or any of the hybrid stuff. And that's another thing. I mean, it's almost like it almost seems like the only reason people aren't using it for games yet is just because somebody hasn't written a proper library to do it. I mean, but you could write your own. I mean, I have a book over here somewhere. Oh yeah, let me get this book. Oh, I got this book over here that when I first was trying to learn it, beginning Android games, and everything is in Java. They're not using any kind of framework, and it's just kind of going through writing the loop, doing drawing the pixels on the screen on every iteration, stuff like that. And it seems very time consuming, and it is possible, and that's what people do before the frameworks. But when these frameworks come out, they just make your life much easier. But of course, they could be a crutch too, and limit your creativity if they don't do what you want them to do. I mean. AP says, have you ever used Delphi FMX for Android dev? No, I've never even heard of Delphi. Isn't Delphi like a really old language? Am I confusing it with something else? Isn't Delphi something that I remember when I got into my first investment bank? I think people were using Delphi. I could be thinking of something else. Delphi code on other stuff, but I haven't really heard any mainstream developers using it. Let's see. Minaj Ake, but let me know about it, AP, because I've never heard of it. I mean, Minaj Ali Khan says, is there a way to predict the future of my app before starting development, like how much I need to invest and rank my app on top? Yes, Minaj, there is a way. Just give me a minute. You need to invest 5,000 on ads. Hang on just a second. Another 2,000 on flyers. No, there's no way. I mean, I just did a video about that today, which will go out I think probably on Monday. Why sometimes you just can't predict these type of things because we don't know, based on what you said. We don't know anything about the app, and even if we did, we don't know how long it will take you to development, what the competition is like on the market, and how your keyword strategies are going to work. Now, what you could do is you could try to be as smart as possible before you start. So, like, what are you going to name your app? What are people going to be searching for? And think about this kind of stuff, because most of us, myself included, we just sort of build what we like, and then we think afterwards, how do I get people over to it? And sometimes I've even changed the names of stuff just so I could get better keyword traffic and get better ranking for it, which is not really the best way to do it. So if you think about, first of all, so we got the ABC, first you got to get people to discover it. You got people in, find your application, and actually, do it. So how are they going to find it? How are you going to? What's your ASO strategy? What your screenshot is going to look like? How are they going to get to do it? Once they're in your application, how do you monetize it? Are you going to have ads? How many ads do you have to have in order to make any kind of money from it? Ideally, the better than ads would be in-app purchases. So if you're just starting out and you're thinking about it, think about, it shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be one of the core things. What are you going to give the free on the free version? And it should be enough because most people will not pay for it, but the people who do pay for it, what can they get that would be a value add that would actually entice them into doing it? And then the third part of it would be, how do you get these people to share it so it spreads out and you get back into the discovery loop and you get into that loop thing? So that's the kind of stuff you should be thinking about, but we can't really predict how much it's going to cost or how much you're going to spend on it. I would say do the minimum viable product as quick as possible so you get it onto the app market and start to test things, because if you get traffic, you get people using it because they said that looks like it's really good, and even if they're a little bit disappointed at first, if they're disappointed they leave a bunch of bad reviews, that would not be good because you wouldn't be able to dig yourself out of that hole. But you could create another one after that because you're able to test the market. But if you could give them enough so that they're reasonably happy, then you can start building on it rather than build a perfect application first. Let's see. Fist007 says Xamarin now is very advanced and has its own set of tools. Yeah, I need to look into it. I mean, it seems like the mobile ecosystem is much broader than it ever has been. I mean, Delphi, for example, I've never even knew you could use that for an app. So, Mr. Net2 says, you don't like development systems when they're simple? I think it's nice when they're simple, but not too simple. I don't like it when, like, so I'm telling stories. I'm telling stories from my youth here, but I didn't like it when I remember going to a Microsoft convention where they were showing how easy it was to create a database applications. So you create your Windows form, and all you had to do is drag this component on there, link it to these database tables, and bam, everything works. But in reality, nothing worked out well because it would lock rows and you couldn't scale it up. Maybe you could have one user on that table or whatever, but that was it. And so you would need to do stuff like have store procedures and services that would retrieve the data and not hold on to it and not lock it and then update the data. And you have the race conditions. What if two people update it at the same time? All that kind of stuff. So you had to think about all this kind of stuff, which on a very simple level you couldn't do. There's sometimes you have tools like SharePoint's a good example. SharePoint, a lot of people say SharePoint is great because you could just create a website for your users just like that. But when you get into anything specific, you don't have the power to do it. You don't have that granularity to do it unless you hire a developer who could go in there and tinker with it and everything like that. And sometimes, I mean, I prefer to have I prefer it to be easy, but with a lot of options for changing it. Like I like, okay, going back to Visual Basic, I liked having lots of different options at my disposal, so I could just change whatever I want. I could go through and tweak things and not have, like, my biggest problem with the Mac and Apple tools is they think you don't really need to do that. You don't really need those kind of tools. You don't really need this. Oh, you need that? Well, just go into the command line and change it, because that's, it's almost like they don't want to confuse users with too many controls. But I kind of like having that, even though I just said that Unity confuses me, and that's one of the reasons I haven't used it, because there's too much going on. So I guess I'm just maybe I'm just bipolar. I don't know what it is. So let's see. Waru Kamau says, full stack versus specializing in front end, back end, which is better? Okay, so I like full stack. There's the benefit of doing front end or back end is you could be really good at that one part, but so if you worked in a team or you worked in a company, you could be the best at that one thing. But you also are reliant on other people. So if you ever worked with other developers or other so if you worked on a front end system and they work in a back end system, or vice versa, you're always arguing about things. Is a fault with me or is a fault with them, or whatever? So you're constantly doing that stuff, and it's a pain. It's boring. But doing the full stack stuff could also be very lazy. So if I'm managing a project, I don't necessarily like to have the same person doing the front end and the back end, because there's a tendency to do stupid things like not separate the concerns enough. Like, they assume that their front end is the only thing that will ever be using the back end. So the database might be structured in a certain way that's geared towards that front end, or the REST API might be geared towards that, and you want it to be like the back end guy is just like, I'm gonna have loads of clients accessing this, and the front end guy is gonna be like, I'm just going to be, I'll do what I need to do on the back end. And when you have the one person doing both of them, I don't know if that makes sense. It's like they know the ending of the story, so they're being sloppy. So, and I don't know, it's difficult to explain that one. Let's see. Rick Calvert says Xcode storyboards are just a visual representation of an XML layout file. There's a button in Xcode that will allow you to manipulate the XML. But is it one of those kind of things where they discourage it? Actually, I have seen that, but is it real XML? So okay, Rick, is it real XML? Again, I'm asking. I'm not saying that sucks. Is it real XML, or is it like the plist file where it's not really XML? It's not like well structured XML, but it's like their kind of thing. And also storyboards are also totally optional. I suppose so. Yeah. And then the XML ones in Java are optional too. You could build everything out from the back end. And yeah, and I guess the thing so I'm changing my mind about these things, Rick. Is that I guess the thing about them is it does make it a bit faster. It is a pain whenever you have something that's especially slow to compile, and you have to just continue to like tweak, compile, check it, compile, check it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe that's it. And even though most of the Android applications, well, and the nib files that I've worked with, when you look at those files without having any back end to it, any data coming through, it's really difficult to see how well they work. But I suppose so. Be Smart says, yo, Eric, I don't have much money to promote my app. Is $200 spending to promote can give me 1,000 to 2,000 installs? Yeah, I would think so. I mean, what I would do, Be Smart, is I would go on AdMob or Google user acquisition, Google UAC, Universal App Campaign, but probably AdMob, and I would put a bid of 1 cent per click, and then I would go up, and then if you don't get anything, go to 2 cents per click, and then go to 3 cents per click. It's one of the reasons why this time of year our ad revenue is so low, but it's also you can get a higher click rate. If you go onto Facebook, you could be easily spending 50 cents per user or $1 per user, or $2 or $3. But it's nice because it's targeted, but everybody's doing that, and people don't know. And you want to spend as little money as possible. The downs, and if you don't focus on the U.S. and you focus on outside the U.S. and outside the U.K., and you would get those clicks and you would get those installs. However, they might not be the users you want because the ad revenue is going to be really low in those places, and the ad revenue is going to be really low, and they might not be making purchases. So it's the chicken and egg thing. But at least you could rank a little bit better. So you start getting the reviews and start getting the stars and and people go into it and think this app doesn't just have 20 downloads and 3 reviews. It could be a lot more. So at least you get that traffic through. Sorry about that. Let's see. Billy says on AdWords you can get away with more than $1,000 to $2,000 with $200. Yeah, sorry, that's just what I was saying. Be Smart says, how much it costs me to promote my app in Google Play to be the first in the search results for one monopoly Google Play Store? You'd have to check the Google Play search algorithm. So I think I've done that, but I think you trigger keywords, don't you? So I mean, there must be a CPC on the keywords for that. You could use that tool, Keywords. Is it Keywords Everywhere? It's the one that over here it's called. Yeah, Keywords Everywhere. You can use that and use Google Play, and it should give you a cost per click estimate on all search engines. So if you go to Google Play, it should give you a cost per click. I don't know how accurate it is, but it gives you an idea how much you would pay for that, and then you get an idea. Let's see. Fist007 says, I have 8+ years of game dev experience. Oh, cool. That's more than me. Let's see. Plumbit says, tell us more about your life that isn't app related. God, let's see. I think I have kids. I don't know. I don't know what isn't app related. Okay, I used to. While I was in the army, I was a soldier. I do this YouTube video every day. I do. Yeah, I was a history. I went to university, studied history. I was a history teacher. I've done a lot of things, but a lot of what I focus on now is mobile applications. It's the company, it's building it, it's serving clients, and just doing that. And the reason I focus a lot on that is because I really like doing it. It's when it comes to hobbies, a lot of people say I should get a hobby, and I was like, dude, I don't have time for a hobby. I don't have time for a pastime. I used to have this goal that I wanted to get season tickets to the San Diego Padres. Like one day, I want to move back and just get season tickets and go to every single game of the season. And now, because we have I could watch every game now if I woke up early enough or stayed up late enough. And I just don't have the time. I don't have time to sit down and watch a baseball game. And it's starting to get to the point. I think as I'm getting older, I've started to realize I don't have time to spend doing those kind of things. And I know people say, oh, you need to stop and smell the roses. You need to slow down. You need to take it easy. But I'm like, dude, it's like age is creeping up on me, and there's a lot I want to accomplish in my life, and I don't. And it might not be apps forever, but a lot of times everything seems to be technology related, and it's not so much the code. I was thinking about this the other day. It's not so much the code, it's more the creation of new things. Like I would hate to be a DBA or a database administrator and I just checking logs and stuff like that. Or I would hate to be like work on servers and stuff like that. And when it comes to hardware and stuff, I'm not really, I've never been interested in that, but I like taking and creating things out of nothing. And I think when I was a kid, what I wanted to be was a writer. I wanted to write books, and I wanted to do that, and I never did. I mean, I was always really good as a writer in school, and the teachers would tell me, I just need to be disciplined and do that. And discipline is something that I lacked. So I never really pursued that. It's one of those lost opportunities where I never sat down and became the writer that I wanted to be. But when it came to writing code, it's not the same, obviously, but it is a lot more where you're able to express yourself. In fact, if you have a job as a software developer, you have certain jobs where you're able to just take it and run with it. And you're just like, I'm going to put this over here, I'm going to do that, this is going to interact there. Even the server stuff could be very creative because you know the exact way to make things work. And it's fun to create something from nothing. And then you got other jobs where you're like, make it look like this, make it work like this, do this. And that's like, it's like working in a factory, and I don't like that kind of stuff. So, but Plumbit, I don't know if that answers the question, but I do like working on technology. Let's see, Mr. Net2 says, how long does it take you to upload an app? To upload it, it's a couple minutes. The internet connection here is really fast. So, Fist007 says, I'm not in a company, I can move to England. Oh yeah, you know, this is a very small office. I don't know. For me, so we have a lot of work on at the moment, but it's always a struggle between, do I have too much going out and not enough coming in, or am I turning out too much opportunity because I don't hire more people? And I hired somebody last month, and so the team is growing, but it's still the case where every time I make a little bit of extra money, it's like, do I invest in getting somebody else so they can help out? And the gamble is that I'll be spending more than I earn, and everything comes crashing to the floor, which could happen at any time anyway. So a lot of times when people, like, I'll meet people in the town, it'll say, do you think you give me a job? And it's like no, but it's just like, it's not easy. It's not easy for me the same way it wouldn't be easy for anyone. Hopefully that'll be the case one day where it's, I have so much extra revenue that I could just hire somebody, like, yeah, hire him, fire him, whatever, and I just make these commands. But at the moment, every time I bring somebody on, every time I do something else, like this decision that I agonize about, so can I afford to hire this person? If I hire this person, will he make me more money than I spend on this person, or is this going to be this drain on resources? And a lot of times people will try to sell themselves to you. This is just another rant, but they'll try to sell themselves on you, which is not finance related. Everything should be, if I hire somebody and it's more money going out, it's either going to make my life easier so that I can make more money, or they can make more money for me. That's the two things. And I can be guilty in the past where I hire somebody just because I think it would be really cool to have this new thing, or this new, like, video editing is something that it seems frivolous because we could just slap some, well, we don't have to do the videos at all, but it's fun to do. And if you look at the long game of it, we do get more notice, we get more stuff, and if the videos look good, then I'm more proud of them. So we have our video editor, who's also our designer. He's able to do this kind of stuff, and although he does, it's not like a direct revenue type of thing where I'm able to charge out his time for any money. It saves me time, and I'm able to charge my time out for more money because I'm not doing the editing, and we're doing a much better job. So it's a lot of times that kind of purchases is difficult. If I was to hire a game developer, it'd be like, then it would be on me to, like, make sure I have enough game work coming in all the time, which is possible because we're just getting more and more stuff coming in. But that's really what it's all about. So let's see. Rahul says, hi Eric, can you tell me what your normal active downloads / total lifetime downloads percentage? Mine is very low, it's like 5%. So it depends. The longer it goes, so my biggest app has been out since 2012. So it's been out for 7 years. Yeah, nearly 7 years. So it's the percentage is even lower. So at any given point on that one where we've had millions of downloads, we probably have around 300,000 total active users. So it's slow for me, and and it seems to be consistently around there. So like, if you ask me 5 years from now, if that's the same, the percentage is going to be much lower. Johan Zeb, hey, how's it going? Long time. Hey, how's it going? Zoot Rocks. How to work sensor tower, mobile action, etc. Can you tell me about the video tutorial? This is all right. Zoot, this is my biggest. So I have the tool is one of them as well, and I have they gave me like a 1 year, the top of the range, so that I could tell you guys about it, and they gave me like a really good affiliate link so that if you guys go there, you save a little bit of money, and then I will get like revenue from it, and it would be like this passive income thing. It sounds really, really good. The thing is, I find these tools to be very, very difficult to use, and this is the biggest problem with them. And I agreed to take this on because I thought if I could do a good enough tutorial that I could show you how to use it and show you the results, then that would be good. Then I would, well, of course I would tell you guys about it. I'll say, hey, look, I found this thing how to do, but I haven't been able to do that. Sensor Tower, the same. Everyone who says, oh, Sensor Tower is just the best. Oh man, Sensor Tower. Oh, mobile action. And every time I've used it, it's like you go in there and you're finding stuff. You go, oh, you should use this keyword. You should use this keyword, and you put it into your application. You don't really see much of a result. If you do, maybe you'll see like a 2% increase, but then it followed by a 2% decrease. So it's like almost like within the margin of error, and they're overpriced. I mean, for what they give you it's not like they have. And one of the things I think about this, it's not like they have a access to the Google Play APIs or the iOS API or the App Store APIs that we don't have access to. They're just scraping pages and doing all kinds of stuff. And I suppose the tools are pretty cool, and people swear by them. And it's one of these things where I'm thinking, but I can remember using Mobile Action, and I actually paid for the a month, and then it's one of these tools where no matter what subscription you're on, there's something that's not available to you. So like, you can go to the enterprise one where you're paying whatever hundreds, but you just think, I just want to find how to do this one thing. So I complained because all of their tutorials, even on their own website, were old. Nothing looked like their tutorials did. Nothing looked like their knowledge base, and they were like, oh yeah, we just did a big revamp and we haven't updated those yet. It's like, well, so how do you use it? Just show me how to use it, and nobody could. So I take what you're saying about that. I think Steve P. Young's probably he does a lot with Sensor Tower and Mobile Action, and he talks about that kind of stuff all the time. But I just sometimes to go back to DBAs. If you've ever sat down with a DBA and have them analyze your database, like, it's really boring. They'll sit there and go, they'll sit there and stroke their chin and go, we could get a 0.5% increase if we move this index over here and all this stuff. Like, you think 0.5%, I want real numbers. I want real, improvements. And a lot of these kind of things are just, I'm very negative about it. I mean, the Sensor Tower seems to be the biggest one, and the fact that it's $80 a month, or at least it was, it may have gone up, it may have gone down, but it was like $80 a month, and I was using it, and I was like, I couldn't, maybe if I use it every day and I just sat there and use it every, but even then, when I asked where those numbers come from, they weren't able to tell me. So I'm using this magic tool that they gave me that I hope is going to work, but not really sure if it will. So I'm really negative. I mean, and I've done videos about this. I'm actually pretty negative about the ASO tools out there, because I think there's other keyword tools out that you could use for free that the Google Planner, for example, or Google Suggest is a really good one. And we did that one on our website, which is just, it's not even our tool, it's the one from GitHub, and we just put a GUI on it, right, so that you can use it. And it uses the web scraping technologies, and it's just, and there's other free ones out there. So let's see. Plumbit says, can you have my credit card number? Let's see. Fist007 says, have you built an app with Google Map integration? Yes, we have a few of them. Mostly for clients. I don't have any myself with Google Map integration. None of them on our app store, but we have done them for clients, and that's pretty cool. I mean, there's lots of stuff there. Mistel33, hi guys, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Mistel33. Johan Zeeb says, yes, evaluating Visual Studio 2019 preview release, and it's great. The last Visual Studio version I used, I think it was 2012. Yeah, I think it was 2012. The actual paid for version, and I was working a contract, and I was still the .NET developer, even though I had a Mac and I was doing the iOS stuff at the same time. Suresh Rajpurit says, hi Eric, do you get AdMob interstitials not showing problem? Not really. In fact, I just got the. I was gonna do it. I'm gonna do a video on this next week, but I don't know if you guys all got Google. It was the AdMob email that says what your totals for the year were, and my totals for the year for AdMob was actually really good. I was surprised to see it all in one number. It was like 39,000 something pounds. I was like, that's like a full-time job, which was cool. I mean, I was spending on all kinds of other stuff. So, but it was kind of nice to see it all in one place. And the biggest thing for me is interstitials. So it's still the one thing that's there. And I know interstitials are. I mean, they do better for me. They do better than video ads. They do better than rewarded ads. They do better than everything else because they expect to see them. So, but I haven't had anything with them not showing. But I do have them set. So they only show, like, I think 2 a minute. So it doesn't always pop up and everything like that. So maybe it's not 2 a minute. I think it's once per minute. Because I think that was too much. I'm throttling it. I was throttling it in the code itself, but then I moved it on to AdMob because I thought it's just easier. I could tweak it a little bit, and if it seems to be if I'm afraid it's too often, then I could do it on the server rather than have to release a new version. Pelitic says, hello, how can you make a profit from advertising your mobile game? In the USA, the average cost per install is $1.90, and there's no way I will make that money back with displaying ads in my game. Yeah, this is the big problem I think a lot of us face. So, I mean, you should be looking at, if you can... This is one of the reasons why ads as a revenue is not it's not the best model in the world. I mean, it is the one. I make most of my my app revenue through ads because we have a lot of installs and we have a lot of impressions. Well, not we have a lot of new users each day, and it does really well in the search ranking. So we have that going through. But if it dries up tomorrow, that's it. So I mean, if you had the ideal situation, especially for a game where you could have an in-app currency, is to have the have something where they could buy coins or do something like that. I don't have that. I'm saying that, but I don't have that in any of mine. But I get giddy with excitement to think about the prospect of people buying something in your application and then using it, and then they have to buy it again, right? We do have our in-app purchases more non-managed purchases. No, managed purchases. Or non-consumables. So we have non-consumables, which which I think is the iOS term. So if they make a purchase, then they keep that purchase. So if they install it on a different application, they could just do restore purchases, and that's the way we've always done it, and it's just easier from that point of view. But that's because the games are very, very simple, and I keep wanting to restructure them so we have an in-app currency and get really in-depth in there, but it goes back to how much time I want to invest in doing that. So yeah, you do need to get in front of people, but you don't have to do it through advertisements, right? So yeah, it is expensive to do it through advertisements, but you do have, if you have users coming in, can you get them to share it somehow? Can you use the Firebase dynamic link so that they can share it? Or Firebase has an invite library too, I think. So you can have something like that so that they share it, the application. Can you get them to share to social media? Can you get it to spread in any way that will do that? What kind of, in terms of being, in terms of being a game, so there's somebody looking for it or something similar somewhere. So how do you get in front of those people? And it could be through social media or something like that too. But yeah, politics. I mean, it is difficult, but you could do it. And doing it using advertisements is the shortcut way, right? And if the market's too crowded, that's what you have to do. But even like for Overpass, we're not always we're hardly advertising at all, but we're putting out a lot of content. We're trying to get things out there as much as possible. If somebody's searching on something, we want them to find a bit of our content. Try to get in front of as many people as possible. Try to manage those keywords. What are people searching on? How can we get up in those rankings? We don't spend a whole lot on advertising, but if we have to, we will. But it's not, for me, that's the same thing. It's like if I'm spending, even if I'm spending 20 cents on a user, which is really, really good, I'm still making like 2 cents a user. It's not viable that way unless I'm going for I want to have a spike, and I want to go up in the rankings, and I want to have more reviews come in, or I'm really just, it's like gaining a little bit of momentum, but on an ongoing basis. And you talk to anybody in the user acquisition sphere, and they'll say the same thing. Just figure out your lifetime value of your user. If your lifetime value of your user is $10, you can spend $8 to acquire that user, and thinking, well, nobody has that. Very few companies actually do have that. But and the companies that do have that can afford to hire the user acquisition consultant who can tell you these kind of information. So Cord Funk says Apple is like a totalitarian regime. I can't even scroll as fast as I want on my new iPhone. Fist 007 says, how's a Mustang? The Mustang's good. So yeah, the Mustang's good. I keep thinking about getting rid of the Mustang. I have like another a year before I buy it outright, so I have like another year and a half. But like the car payments are a bit they're a bit high, and but I love the car. Like I love the car. I can afford the payments, but every time there's like a month where where I hire somebody and it's like, oh God, can I afford this or whatever? It's that car that I look at and I think, oh God, if everything explodes, it's that car that everyone's going to point to. So that's the only reason, but I love the car, right? So I don't, it's just on those moments of weakness where I think, where can I save a bit of money? Like if you ever had like a rough month through revenue, or a client that doesn't pay or whatever, you start looking at things to get rid of. And this is one of the reasons why I'll use something like LinkedIn Premium for a long time, but I'll get rid of it because I'll have a bad month, and that will be one of the things on the chopping block. And sometimes there's that car I look at, but I love it. I mean, I don't really want to get rid of it. It's just one of these kind of things that I think about. So, and you said, and I want to be a game developer. We should team up, man. Seriously. Well, maybe we should. I mean, if you're serious about it. One of the problems I have with hiring somebody who's not a full-time person is we have clients that have, when I have a client breathing down my neck about something that we're late on, or something that's not working the way that it should, and I'm trying to reach out to the developer who's part-time. That developer has the option, if they're part-time, they're just like helping out, just a few hours here, at night and on weekends, then they could just walk away from it, and I'm left with, I gotta find another developer, and I can end up, being in a real hole there. So a lot of the times when it comes to like doing like part-time work and stuff, I'm getting more and more wary of it. But I mean, if there is something that I could send your way, then that might be good. Johan Abrickson says, what kinds of apps can make some money? I have very little to advertise and so on. So it's if I knew Johan, what I would do, so a lot of people, you could do something on the app stores and hope that people find it. You could go the PWA way, but I think the app stores are more lucrative. But you also have, if you could do something for a specific user base, I think we're getting to that point now where if you could do something for, I'll say taxi drivers, although that's so overdone, but you could do something for like a certain niche group of people. And the nice thing about that is you can reach out to a few of them saying, hey, I'm building this app, even if you aren't really. I'm building this app that allows pet store owners to communicate, allows pet store owners to talk to their animals, whatever, to schedule animal feeding times. For example, I'm making this app that allows pet store owners to schedule feeding times. When I'm done with this, is this something you would be interested in, right? And then you could do that, and if everybody says no or they ignore you, then you just move on to the next idea. And you could do a little bit of research that way just to kind of gauge what will work and what wouldn't. The downside is that there's not that many pet store owners, but if you had something that was specifically for that niche, you could probably charge a lot more for it. Or you could just you do something for the mass market, which everybody's doing, and then it's less of a niche, but you have a larger market to go for. That's a very rambly answer, isn't it? Let's see. Abi Bardwaj says, how's the petrol going? Let's see. Hey, Josie, how's it going? Let's see. Straight XML plist is different. Okay, straight XML. I'm sorry, I'm way behind on the question. Sorry about that. Shivbum says binary game. Okay, so Rahul says, hey Eric, can you give me an app idea which can generate some revenue? Currently working on Flutter. let's see. Well, I think that's what I mean. There's lots of different ones out there. It's difficult to say because if I mean, there's quite a few out there. I think the one thing you shouldn't try to do is just copy something that's working, because there's a lot of people are doing that. There's a book I read a few years ago when I was just getting started. It said, just check the top of the App Store, and whatever someone else is doing, you do the same thing and just reskin, like a reskin of what they do. Just clone what's popular. And this is why we have so many different, Uber type things and stuff. Like people say, I've got this great idea, but if you can go to something that's a bit more niche and for a specific group, then you would. For me, it's difficult for me to say because I'm not really a gamer, right? I'm not really somebody who goes looking for games on the App Store. And if I see something with a bunch of gems and a cute little icon, it's not something that really appeals to me. But if I see something productivity related, like schedule or task or something, that's my thing. It's my thing. And I'll check this out. And I'm the kind of guy who will switch from checklist program to checklist program to checklist program, or whatever, note-taking applications, that kind of stuff. So there's two different types of people, and you have to look at, and the nice thing about utilities is you can charge more for them, but again, there's lots of those there too. So if you can find something like a nice utility niche, then I think that would be good, but it's very difficult to say. Let's see. Zoot Rock says, I want to go to your country for 3 months as a visit. So where do I go for training modules for the mobile marketing schools? Where do I go for the mobile marketing schools? I don't know. I don't think there are any mobile marketing schools. There's such a lack of information on that. I mean, actually, there's a lot of information on it, but it's all whether or not what works and what doesn't work. Vinay Sharma says, how to get more installs on Android's apps. Google Ads. How much approximately we need to spend to get 1,000 installs? It's difficult to say. It depends on there's the whole math of it. How much you pay per click, how many people are converting. You have you have lots of different variables in place. You got, first of all, how much can you get per click? If you could get, let's say we get 10 cents per click to get 1,000 installs. That would be what? 10,000. That would be $100. But but then if your conversion rate's only like 50%, then that would have to be $200, that kind of stuff. So you have to look at different stuff, and we don't know what those are going to be because we don't know enough to say that. But Rahul says, Eric, you're my active user percent. My active user percentage is 5.2% and yours is 6%. My app is 5 months old, so I think it should be focused on increasing downloads rather than active users as they hover around the same percentage. Yeah, a lot of people do. You'd be amazed at how many people give me a hard time about the fact that my user retention is not that high. And even though I'm fine. I got the revenue's coming in and everything, and somebody with a lot lower revenue, I mean, it's been criticizing me, saying, yeah, but your user retention is really low. And I'm thinking, yeah, I know, but at least I've got this part right? I could, if it was a better application, like if it was an application where people would visit it every day and it was becomes indispensable to their lives, then that would be a lot better. But then you go back to the beginning, then I got to get people to find that and everything like that. So I think as long as you're getting the revenue in and as long as you can survive off of it, then I think that's worth doing. And then Mr. Netu said, what's a good active user percentage? Depends on your definition of good. I think 6% is working for me, all right. Let's see. Zoot Rock says, I make a video player and there's a lot of video players. How can I get downloads to reach new heights like MX? So if there's a lot out there, you think, how do you get it? How do you get it in front of people? Is there some way that you can appeal to a different market than just video players? So if video player is not it, is there some way you could specialize it towards one type of video or one type of video format? What's a video format that not a lot of people are able to view, or that's not supported by the native video players? And how can you do that? Can you have an RSS feed where you have free open source videos out there to try? Can you do something where you say where you appeal to a specific group of people? Say this is a video player for for movie fanatics. Can you find some open source are Charlie Chaplin movies open source? Could you have something like that where you say these? I don't know if they're still in copyright or not. When I say open source, are they still in copyright? So you can do something like that, and you could say, this is this is the moviegoer's video application, or this is the video app for just specific on a specific group of people, because then it's not just a tool that they use, it says something about them, right? I use the camera application. So my iPhone has a camera. I do it with some of the videos, but I don't use the iPhone camera. I use something called Filmic Pro because it's the one that all the professional photographers use. Even though I don't use it to that full potential, still, I think part of it is like, I'll make better videos if I use this one specifically for this one group of people. But to be honest with you, I don't know the difference. I don't know the difference, but I still pay for it because it says something about me. It speaks to me as a user. You want to just use the default one, or do you want to use the one that's specifically made for vloggers, right? And it's like, oh, I want the one that's specifically made for vloggers. And that's something you could do too. So if you're able to appeal to a certain group of people, if you can't differentiate your product, differentiate your user. And what can you say about them that would do it? Ear Spy or Ear Agent works because it's not just what it does. It's not like, I didn't call it the super listening program or whatever. It was like, it's called Ear Spy, and it's all about, you could be a spy. You're the kind of person who would use this to hear that. You'll know a little bit more than everybody else does. And it's not, I'm not differentiating the product, I'm differentiating the user. And that's something to think about too. Is there any way that you could do that? If you have something that everybody's using, is there another niche you could go in there and do that? And when I say, let's say, so who watches video? Is it people who like memes? Is it people who like, I mean, you could reskin it in different ways too. I mean, just say, the meme video player, the whatever video player. But if you just say it's a video player, then, why is it different than the default one? Why is it different than the top rated one? And so forth. Let's see. Christopher, hey Eric, can you review my new app, Sentinel, password manager for iOS? Oh yeah, we haven't done any screen sharing yet. I know it's getting late though. Yeah, let's do that real quick. I'm not. So let's just answer the questions, and we'll just check that real quick. Eric, can you show us your app data? Yeah, for which I think I can. I mean, I don't know which one we want to show. Rahul Singh says, have you tried HTML5 Google ads for mobile creatives? I heard that it will be clicked higher and lower down the cost per install. No, I haven't. I know one of the big things coming out in the next year is the open bidding, which has been in beta since like March or April or something on AdMob. I'm not part of that. It was a closed beta. I'm not part of that closed beta, but they do make it sound like it's going to work better than typical monetization. Not monetization. Typical. What's the word? Why am I'm blanking on this? Another brain fart. The one where you switch different networks. Mediation, that's the one. All right, what do you think about paid apps versus AdMob ads app? I think paid apps are better. Paid apps make money. You only have to charge them once. Your users don't feel annoyed with anything, but they have to be willing to be paid. After how much clicks we should show interstitial ads to user? I started off. So when I started off, I was like, after the 4th time they open the app, then I'll show an interstitial because I don't want to annoy them. And I was told by an AdMob person I need to show more interstitial. So and I started doing it all the time, and people really complain, and then I started scaling it back. So but it shouldn't be like right when the app opens. You shouldn't do it right when the app opens, but you should do it at good transition points within the application. And everybody expects to see them there, so it's not like it's like that. So all right, so I'm gonna do 2 things here, and I won't be able to do any more questions. I have to get on home. So let's have a quick look at App Sentinel. Sentinel is the name of the app for Christopher. Let's go over here. Is it on Google Play, Christopher? Let's see. Screen share. All right, Sentinel. I'm wondering if this is going to be... There's a lot with this name, Christopher. Is that what it is? Is it called App Sentinel, or is it Christopher? Oh, on iOS. Oh, sorry. Oh, how do I get to the iOS one? I can never remember how to get to iOS on here. Let's go to the App Store. Let's just go to App Annie. Here we go, and again. Sentinel. All right, Christopher, is that Sentinel password manager for iTunes? Okay. Is that the full name of it? Sentinel password manager for iTunes. Let's try that. Rahul, why is my office always empty? Because I do this at night. But it does. I have two other people who work here with me, and I wait till everyone's gone before I do it. And also the videos too. I don't like to do it with other people in the background because it's first of all, because I mess up sometimes when I talk. Sometimes I end up swearing, like if the camera messes up. And it's not a polite experience for other people. We're just over there having Tourette syndrome. Like, so if I'm filming something, I'm just in the middle of talking. Everything's nice, everything's happy, and then it says car buffer overrun on the camera or something like that. Then I swear, and it's easier just to do it when you're alone. Sometimes when I do it outside, you got other people watching you. It happened today. I was filming one outside, and somebody was watching me. Like some guys unloading a truck. And there's a guy just standing there, just like watching me from the distance, and it just really puts you off. It's hard to, try to just keep your flow of concentration, keep your flow of thought, but sometimes you got this person in the back. And usually people walking their dogs, they love to sit and watch. Here we go. Cool. Let's see. Oh, why Play Store remove apps, which downloads YouTube? Oh yeah, I had a lot of apps removed this week because they mentioned they mentioned iPhone in the description. I'm going to do a video about that this week too. So let's see. Sentinel Password Manager. Have all your passwords in one secure place. Organize your passwords. Autofill passwords with the Sentinel browsers. That's cool. Use stealth mode to hide the Sentinel icon. Oh, how do you do that? Generate secure passwords. Cool. That sounds good. That looks cool. How's it doing? I mean, it's tired of your having your passwords whenever you need. Tired of not having your passwords whenever you need them. Need a secure place to store your passwords where no one can find them. Try Sentinel to protect your army of passwords. Cool. Sentinel features. Yeah, it's very practical. Your description. It's nothing, and I'm wondering whether or not it would help to say about 23% of computers were hacked last year, or the biggest cause of identity theft is weak passwords. Do you have a you can't keep using the same password all the time, which is one of the reasons why these password managers are becoming more important. We still have relatives that are using the same password over and over and over again for stuff, and a lot of times they even have this. I got an email from some scammer or whatever saying, "This is your password. I'm going to share pictures of it with you." And apparently it's some scam, because if you use the same password over and over again, you got some compromised system that maybe you used that same password on years ago, and they're just trying it out. They're sending these things to you saying, "I know your password is this," and sometimes it's like, "No, that's not my password, but it used to be." And so it is the kind of thing where we need to have more password managers. But you're talking about what it does. But so if I'm looking for this, then I'm going to think, okay, that has more features than maybe the other one. But if I'm not looking for it, how can you appeal to it? So if you're doing something that's getting people into this, like if you're going to do a Facebook ad or something, like, you could really stress the importance of security, like just saying, if you have one password, for everything. If you have one password for everything, then you're in danger. Or really use social media to sell the stories of all those bad things. That's what gets me to use it. That's what I use. I I use LastPass, and for that same, I was hacked. Actually, it was my WordPress site was hacked once, and so I changed everything. And WordPress is always hacked. Yeah, but I started doing that. And it wasn't because some security said you should really change your password more often. No, it was a horror story you read on the BBC and the news about somebody who's lost their entire fortune because somebody was able to hack their password. So if you could do that and just sort of go off the fear a little bit there, because if you're doing something that's important like that, and I don't know how many other people are doing that, so, but it might be something to think about, Christopher. I don't know. But because this is the kind of thing, so this is the kind of thing which is important, that if you were to put it like a Facebook ad, say you did a Facebook ad and you target it, so let's say LastPass is probably one that a lot of people use. So, but you have to be you kind of have to know what you're doing in order to use LastPass. So maybe people who are 20 to 30 or whatever, they know about LastPass, they're already using it, whatever. But if you go to someone who's like say you took out ads for people who are 65 to 80 on Facebook, and you say, do you know that identity theft happens, whatever. It's just be really kind of, these are the fears of it, and those people might not have thought about it before. They might still be using their kids' names, whatever, their first pet and things. So and you could also do articles just saying how you could do a lot of stuff, but educating your users too, putting some stuff out there and educating them, and then also getting them back in there and using it. So saying, the top 3 reasons for what are the top 3 most common passwords, right? So you could have a bit of article on that. Top 3 most common, so you never want to use that. Other things that people think are clever but aren't, or using the $ instead of the S or whatever, right? And then at the end of it saying, you can use Sentinel to protect all your passwords, and getting to those users who don't see it as important yet because they have not been hacked and they haven't seen it in the news like that. So and I know lots of people who still use the same password all the time. So last thing I wanted to do was you wanted to see my stats on EarSpy. Now I just recently, just this last week, had a bunch of apps removed from Google Play, not suspended, just removed, because in the description I have I had said also available on iOS, on iPhone. So here's one, Chemistry Flash Quiz. So I have to go through and update the description and re-upload those applications. Let's see. So EarSpy, Super Hearing. Look at the stats of this. I want to make sure you can't see any. What I am not allowed to show is ad revenue, but I can show the app purchases. Average rating 3.96. Crashes. Yeah, don't criticize me about that. Installs by user over the last 30 days is 47,000. Policy violation, that's on one of the other applications I need to fix. What else we got? Statistics. Statistics. So yeah, well, I mean, it looks like it's gone down a lot, but installs not active. So we've lost a few thousand since last month, but that's just, so we went from 86,000. Oh, actually, it's not that many. What was I saying? 300,000 installs on active devices by Android version. It's like 85,000. So it's not that. It's even in my own head, I'm exaggerating that figure. So yeah, it is kind of going down a little bit, but has it dropped that much? Let me just check. Oh, that's just in the last. Oh, this is installs on active. So this is the installs over the last month. So yeah, cool. So let's go back to video only. Okay. Let's see. What else? People might. Let's see. So I'm new to iOS development. I have some basic programming experience in C and Swift, like really basic. I want to build simplified version of Facebook, leaving out the complex data algorithms. Yeah, that would make sense. Well, no, good luck with that, Samia. Let's see. Chris, let's see. Can you give me pointers on where to start? Okay. Yeah. So if you can do something. So Facebook is a very complicated platform. If you're going to do it, like if we were, I think most of us, well, actually a lot of us who are software developers in web, if we were going to make a Facebook clone, it would be very easy. except for all the algorithms and everything, like all the important stuff. But if we were to do something that looked like Facebook or looked like Twitter, we could do it with CSS and JavaScript. It would not scale the same way. It would not have the same user base. It would not do, it would not have the same logic behind it. But at least it's something we could show to other people and get and see whether or not it works. And I think that's something that that's important. So even you have to get something in front of people and see whether or not it even has any traction. So if you can't get people to use something even when you can't, so a lot of developers will stress about scale before they should even be concerned with it. They're like, well, what do we do with more servers? It's like, if one server is not enough, then you've got really good problems. Then you start scaling up. Then you start thinking, how do we make money from it? Then it's going to work, but you don't go build out a 50 server farm when you don't even know whether or not one user is going to use the application. So I think that's one thing to do. Let's see, Brian O'Shea. Hey, Brian, how's it going? We use KeyPass. It's like LastPass, but held on a USB drive. I use KeyPass. I used to use KeyPass, except the only reason I stopped using KeyPass is because I kept putting it in Dropbox, and then I moved from computer to computer, and for some reason it kept getting corrupt. When I tried to use it this is what it was. I tried to use it for multiple devices or for multiple computers, and then it would lock out the other one, and it would create a copy, and then I had like several copies, and I wasn't sure which one was it. But it was just, and then I moved to LastPass, and there's something about LastPass, even when I started, I wasn't sure how, it seems like the fact that it's online means it's hackable. So that's one thing about KeyPass. You think at least it's locked on this computer, then I don't have to worry about it so much. Like they would have to get into this computer to use it, and then they would have to decrypt the password. Then they would have to do all that stuff. It's like one extra level, but yeah, I think it would be so. Let's see. It's not available on any web. Let's see. I want to buy a camera app like Candy Camera, but it's not available on any web. Oh, okay. And then the last question I'm going to do, this is from Fist007, is what do you think about going out and present your app to people walking by and inviting them to download it? I think that would be creepy. I don't even like it when people ask me for spare change on the street. I don't think, I don't, yeah, I think that would be difficult. I think it would be, you would put them in an awkward situation. Well, but that's just me. I'm kind of like, I don't even like the idea of cold calling companies. So that's my problem. So anyway, let's see. And so the last thing Samia says, I meant something like chat. That's something like chat, status, posting, notifications. I don't have any experience with backend development. Where should I start? I would start learning about backend development. So you should find some tutorials on it. How would you create it? Creating a chat server is one of the things that there are the most tutorials about, Samia. So if you were going to do a chat server in Firebase, there are loads of tutorials on how to do specifically that, and you can start from there and you will start to learn things. You might not do it exactly like that chat server does, but you will get an idea of how backend server programming works. Right? If you use something like Firebase, that works because you have a real-time database, but it's still, it could be a bit expensive if you scale up. And you can look at other, if you go back a couple of years, if you're doing something in PHP and MySQL, which is what Facebook has done, is built on, or it's done on PHP at least, then you could find loads of tutorials on that. You can even find on GitHub, you can find examples of code, you can find libraries that do it. So it's not as hard as you might think. So anyway, thanks everybody. Hey, Cool Clothes Shop, how's it going? So thanks everybody for showing up. Sorry, this is another long live stream, bit rambling on again today, but thanks everyone for coming by. Now I'm gonna go get pizza, and I'm just gonna, it's gonna be so good. So yeah, this is a nice thing about doing a Friday night live stream followed by pizza. I really appreciate you guys all coming by. I will talk to you guys tomorrow on the daily video, and we'll do the next live stream next week. We'll do it next Friday, and I'll make sure to be here in the office next Friday so that we do it and not skip any more days. So let's see how many days I could go through. See, even I'm worrying about so we have the new year. I'm wondering how many days am I going to miss doing the daily video, and how many live streams am I going to miss. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do every single day, but we're going to try. So anyway, that's it for today. I will talk to you guys later on. Talk to you guys next week, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow on the daily video. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.